You are now tuning in to the Evolution Daily Podcast.
Yo, what is up, everybody? This is Alpha Chad from Evolution Daily, here doing the 95th episode of the Evolution Daily Podcast. I'm all by myself. Aaron is actually on a trip in Texas. Is he fucking? Is he working hard? I have no idea. He could be dead. Aaron could be dead. And if he's dead, then, that could be good too, because that means that I now am able to fulfill my role, or, fulfill my ultimate goal, which was passively waiting until Aaron died so that I could take over Evolution Daily. So, that's pretty cool. Things are going to be going in a different direction now. I'm thinking about doing a lot of Lunchables reviews. There's a nachos and pizza one that looks really good, so I might check that out. But all jokes aside, let's talk about some different things related to women. Let's talk about game. I want to talk about approach anxiety. Approach anxiety first. Approach anxiety is probably one of my favorite topics. As a person who has been on every side of the spectrum of approach anxiety, I've been everywhere on the mountain of this. Okay, I've been under the mountain, inside the mountain, around the mountain, on top of the mountain. I've been all around the mountain. I can say for sure that any guy can get over approach anxiety. And when you watch videos on how to get over approach anxiety in particular, and this was very frustrating for me when I was trying to learn, is it felt like I would watch a whole video on approach anxiety and then there would never be any concrete answer. I always felt like what? Am I missing something? Is there something missing? What's going on? Why don't I actually know what to do after watching, the best person on the subject teach me about this? Why don't I still know? When you watch videos on how to fix approach anxiety, it generally comes down to, usually what will happen is the coach will end up talking about excuses. And then at that point, you're kind of like, well, what the hell? What do I do? But I want to go a little bit deeper than that, because I think that that's not fair. So the real answer to approach anxiety is actually emotional control. So let's talk about excuses for a second, because excuses do tie into approach anxiety. But for the most part, when you see a chick, when you see a girl who's really hot and you want to approach, the first thing you feel is an emotion which you have habituated to. If I feel this emotion, I just give up. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do when I feel this emotion. I'm definitely not going to, when I'm in this very vulnerable state, suddenly go and expose myself to this chick, right? Expose my vulnerability, because it is actually an exposure of vulnerability. It is actually, to get connection, you actually do need to be vulnerable. And there's a certain strength in vulnerability, and men have a whole thing about, how being vulnerable isn't strength, which I disagree with. But for the most part, going up to a woman, it's very difficult. When you see her, all these things happen in your body. You start breathing fast. You start heaving. Who even knows what's going on there? Your brain must be firing off 1 million cells a minute or what? Who knows? You're going crazy, right? And you were just fine a second ago, and you're like, well, this is a sign to not do this. Why do they bring up no excuses when they talk about approach anxiety? Well, because all of those emotions, every single thing you're feeling, every single, resistance you have to being vulnerable, your fears, all this stuff that's coming up, none of that actually is in control of your legs. Your legs are the things that actually make it so that you walk up to the chick. There's actually nothing else that you need to do but walk towards her at a certain point in the interaction. So your legs are the first point, but why don't we walk towards her? Or sometimes guys will walk towards her, then they'll divert at the last second. Why is this happening, right? You're not taking responsibility, right? It is an excuse thing. But let's go deeper, right? Because I always hated when someone would tell me no excuses, because I'm like, well, what's going on? So really what this is, okay? And if you've heard little bits and pieces from me on the podcast in the past, then you know that I'm really heavy into Teal Swan. She's a spiritual coach. She's really great. One thing that Teal Swan talks about when it comes to taking action is that the truth about if you're not taking action out of fear, The reality is you are where you are. The reality is that's kind of where you're at, right? Now, if that's where you're at, what you can do is you have to learn how to caretake your emotions. It's the gayest sounding thing ever, right? Caretake your emotions. But this is actually the answer to approach anxiety because it's also tied in with no excuses. You really don't have an excuse not to walk up and talk to a girl. But for a lot of guys, the emotions are so intense, they're so incredible, and guys don't know how to take action through their negative emotions. That's what I mean by caretaking. Caretaking the emotion means, oh, I feel vulnerable, I feel upset, I feel fear, I feel all these negative things, but I'm still going to do it anyway. And this is why when you have a guy who, is really, really good at game, making a video on approach anxiety, he might not be able to break it down like that for you, but he'll just be like, yeah, I just don't make excuses. Right? Whereas for you, you're like, the emotions are so intense, I can't even move. And so it really does come down to no excuses, but at the end of the day, you are caretaking your emotion. And this is when it's time, I think, for guys to go deeper, right? Deeper in on themselves. Something that I like to think about with women is that you're trying to connect with them, right? If you have good intentions, which you should have good intentions, you're trying to connect with them, right? You're this isolated entity, and then now there's another entity over there. We're all a part of this larger organism, but you're isolated to the point where you're just yourself, and then you see this other entity, and you're like, I'm gonna go over to that other entity, and now me and that other entity are gonna merge a little bit. We're gonna assimilate. We're gonna give each other a little bit of a piece of ourselves. This is the entire universe assimilating a little bit more, getting to know itself, right? So it's vulnerability, it's connection, right? So these softer emotions are hidden under all this. And so when you go to do an approach, you're going to need to learn how to caretake your emotions if you can't bring it upon yourself already to go up and take the action. Action is the highest spiritual state. This is something Teal Swan also talks about. Action is the highest spiritual state. If something is taking action, it doesn't need to do any more emotional work. It doesn't need to do any more things. Action, though, you can view it as the final state. If you can't approach, view that as the finish line. If you can't approach and you have all these different emotions that are coming up, there's no reason why you can't question those, think about those, ask those, reflect on those, build on those, right? A lot of times I think guys go out and maybe I think guys will talk about rejection when they didn't even need to do an approach. I think a guy will go out, not approach, come back home, get on a forum, and talk about rejection because he's projecting this idea that women are going to behave a certain way towards him because he was feeling so vulnerable and he was so scared and unable to actually express that vulnerability that he now retracted, hardened, went home. The whole world is this dark place where you can't be vulnerable. And then he gets online and the only thing that can come out of his mouth is women are, they're too mean, right? And it's I don't think that most people have an accurate picture of this, right? Especially guys that aren't getting results. But no, man, the answer is get vulnerable, get into your emotions, think about them, feel into them, and then understand that if you're going to actually be with a girl down the road, then you're going to have to open up to them.
I have been killing it with online game. I've been going on basically a new date every single night. But more importantly, my students have been killing it with online game as well, dominating on Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, all of these platforms. How have they done it? How have I been doing it? With Online Game Decoded. This was formerly known as PST. We decided to clean up the image a little bit. So if you already got PST, you got OGD. And if you don't have Online Game Decoded yet, you need to sign up. A lot of information out there is just kind of telling you what you should do online. What we've done is we've taken it a whole nother step further. Inside Online Game Decoded, you're going to receive over 30 online game breakdowns, showing unique openers. So many of you guys send awful openers. I even hear this from girls. Guys are terrible at opening. It's going to give you unique openers. It's going to show you how to stack your conversations in a way where you're always moving towards a final destination, because guys are just rambling on and on. You get a little friend, just having a little conversation. You got to move to the end finish line. Our conversations show you how to do that, ultimately how to close. Again, you're getting over 30 breakdowns as well as 6 modules, including a module on how to craft the perfect profile. Many of you are putting out a billboard for an offer that nobody wants to buy. Online game profiles are your billboard. This is your offer. What are you putting out to the world? And so many of you are getting it wrong. You're spending hours a day and getting no results. Online Game Decoded is going to get you those results. Head over to onlinegamedecoded.com. The link will be down below wherever you're listening to this. Now enjoy the rest of the episode.
And as the man of the two, you're going to be the one that needs to take the responsibility to push that forward, right? A lot of guys think that being vulnerable is weak. I really don't like this idea. For example, myself, I'm kind of a scrawny guy. If you're watching the video version of this podcast on YouTube, you'll see in the video that I'm a scrawny looking kind of guy. I hope to get jacked someday. I think that'd be kind of cool. But for now, I'm focused on rap music and a lot of other things. Also, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you'll see that I have this whole makeshift pop filter and microphone here with screws. This is because Aaron actually took all the podcast equipment to Texas, and then this podcast was kind of like a last minute thing, and he's just like, make something work. I don't think he even knows that I have like the capability of making a video and like actually doing good audio, so that'll be a nice surprise for him if he's not dead. But to get back to the vulnerability thing, I think that like real strength doesn't always necessarily mean physical. I think that so here's something that I think that happens in society that I think really trips up men. So men get really tripped up. I think we get a lot of mixed messages, and I think that we get very confused about what it means to be a man. Which, by the way, Aaron and I are doing man camp soon, right? In the coming months, Aaron and I are going to be taking 50 to 100 of you out into the woods, and we're going to be doing screaming exercises. We're going to be doing release exercises. We're going to be doing physical exertion. We're going to be doing a lot of man shit out in the wilderness, and we're going to be training guys to get back to their primal masculine roots. And in layman's terms, what all this is going to do is society is putting a lot of negative pressure onto men. And this is something I'm about to talk about in this other thing, so it ties in. But basically, society is putting a lot of pressure on men. It really is just making men not men, right? The food that society provides for us, the ideas that society provides for us, all these different things, it's anti-men. You can feel the world getting more feminized. There's tons of science behind it. Aaron can talk for days about this. But for the most part, what guys really need is they need to come somewhere where they can remember who they are. Right? It's not even work. It's not even hard work. It's just a remembering of where you are, right? A lot of guys are tricked into feeling shame their whole lives for being what they are when they shouldn't. And it requires a very particular type of mindset to actually like not be so negatively affected by society. There are poor guys out there that are so lost. And it really just is society. Society does not care about men right now. It's not structured for men. And I think society is in a dire need of great men. And so Aaron and I are here to rescue the entire world and the entire universe by getting some of the men on Earth and bringing them out into the wilderness and making sure that they become better men. So if you're interested in any of that, you can go on evolutiondaily.com. and check out what we have over there on that. So let's continue talking about strength in men and vulnerability and what it means to be a man. So when I think about what it means to be a man, there's different words that I like to use. I like to use words like responsibility. I like to use words like leadership. I like to use the words like strength. I think about the sun, like the actual sun. Like you could consider men to be the sun and women to be the moon. It's like the sun is this thing that just emanates energy from within. The energy of the sun doesn't take energy. The sun actually gives energy. Generosity is another one, a big one for men, or having a lot of physical things like manifestation. Manifestation is a very masculine trait. Having money, having things, right? Having energy, having strength, leadership. These are all masculine traits, and these are the types of traits that every guy should really work on and learn to cultivate. But for strength in particular, right? When it comes to vulnerability, so in game, as you guys probably already know by this point, in game there's like a million different ways where one thing works at one level, and that at another level it just doesn't. And game is just this intricate ass thing, right? Well, I think the same works for vulnerability. I think at the end of the day, guys are looking at vulnerability like it's weak when it's embedded in every approach that you do and any real relationship you're actually going to have with any girl, right? Now, I do think that rejection is difficult because if you are actually being vulnerable and then it gets rejected, the challenge there is to not become toxic. The challenge there is to actually be okay and have that like a short refractory period from the rejection and then being able to just take another action. Remember how I said action is the highest spiritual state? Well, what somebody like Aaron does when Aaron goes out and does game is he is just action, 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 action. That's it. That's what he does. Action is the key. What most guys do is they take a little bit of action and then they fall out of their highest spiritual state. They fall out of action. And that's now an emotional issue. Now, I've been recommending Teal Swan forever, and I think because it's called spirituality, a lot of people just don't care to listen to it or look into it. But seeing as how the world is getting more sensitive, seeing as how people are getting more spiritual, we're eating a lot healthier, we're getting more in touch with God and our universe, it's time to look into this. It's time to look into your emotions. It's time to look into vulnerability. It's time to start considering yourself. Because as a man, I think really no one thing works in any situation. I think the biggest struggle of a man is actually trying to figure out when to use what nuance, right? You can say one thing to one girl that would be totally fine, and then to another girl, it's the worst thing you could say. Even if you're being nice, you could be being nice could work to one girl, and then there could be some other chick who's super hardened and she views niceness as weakness, and you're being nice to a girl, and that's not working. You could say most of game doesn't even it's all 50-50. There's no game at all, right? You could even make that argument. So there's a lot of good points in there, but the point is vulnerability, strength. You want to go towards these masculine traits, and you want to make sure that you recognize that there is strength in vulnerability, and that there's vulnerability in every approach. So yeah, that's really important. Keep that in mind as you move forward in your interactions, guys. Shit's opening up. COVID's over, okay? This shit's ending, right? Every month in 2021, this shit is actually slowly opening up every month. Aaron's in Texas right now where they don't have mask ban on there. He's out, he's shouting from the rooftops. I can hear him from there. He's shouting from the rooftops about how he was in a grocery store and no one was wearing a mask. He's fucking girls raw dog down there. You can raw dog in Texas. Florida and Texas are the two states right now that are the best for game. And I'll mention this a little bit later too, the details, but we're actually doing a Texas Memorial Day weekend boot camp in May. It's on May 28th to May 30th. We're going to be doing a boot camp in Austin, Texas. It's going to be a couple months out. If you're interested in that, go to evolutiondaily.com and you'll see the details. You can fill out an application for the boot camp. We'll set up a call with either me or you or Aaron and you, and we'll talk about the details over the call. But yeah, if you want to check more about that out, you can go to evolutiondaily.com and sign up for that, man. Texas, it's where it's at. Aaron is testing the waters down there. I get this. I get the feeling that he's just deep in puss right now. He's probably just making tons of money and deep in puss right now in Texas, and that could be you. So definitely look into that. evolutiondaily.com. So we got man camp and we got the boot camp on Memorial Day weekend. So let's talk about responsibility, right? Now, responsibility is probably one of my favorite subjects as a man. So actually, you know what? I'll relate this more to myself because I think that's this will be a great parallel. So as you know, I work for Evolution Daily. I'm Aaron Alexander's assistant full-time. And as you can imagine, over time, I've gotten a lot more responsibilities. And none more than now. I mean, really, I'm thinking about the last 4 days where I've probably just been working the entire time. I mean, I pretty much just, for the last 4 days, I've been doing nothing but working for him. Like, wake up to go to bed. I mean, there's just been a lot of little back-end stuff, tons of stuff. I mean, even now, he hits me up and he's just like, yeah, now you got to do a podcast. We have this joke where sometimes Aaron will ask me to do something ridiculous, and I'll say to him, like, bro, like, what is my job? What is my job? There are things that he's asked me to do now that I always say yes to, which, by the way, like, you know, and I could go deep on this too, saying yes, like, so everything that I do at my job, I have to remember that I'm choosing to be here. A lot of people complain about their jobs, right? And this ties into this idea of like how you have a relationship with your work and how you have a relationship to responsibility. So at the highest level, this universe is this giant organism, and we're all getting kind of categorized into our life. And now we're like this one individual being. We're just one small piece of this entire universe. Now the universe needs to move forward. How does the universe move forward? It's like a hamster wheel, right? Taking action. When you take action, you're actually moving the universe forward. You're churning the entire machine. You're powering this by going to work and doing your job. Now you might think, okay, this is like the Matrix. We're all batteries in this giant system. No, because the answer is to look at guys that are like successful entrepreneurs or people who work for themselves. When you reach a point when you have so much responsibility that you no longer have to be told what to do, and you're still powering the universe through your action, the universe says, oh, well, you don't really need a job. You can just work for yourself, so long as you work. You have to have a relationship with work. And some people have terrible relationships to work, and they make the work about their boss. They make the work about their bitch mom or asshole dad. They make it like about the people that are making them do it, rather than realizing like this is all part of the entire universe, just making sure that everybody's doing their part. Because at the end of the day, you guys are trying to get laid. You're trying to connect with women. And again, you're also connecting to this larger organism that is the universe. A slightly larger organism that is society, and then an even smaller bubble, which is like you and your girl, which might even become a family down the road. So, you know, again, these are just weird ideas and ways to look at this stuff. But I like responsibility because the more I get a better relationship with my job, the better my life just becomes.
What's going on, man? I know that you're enjoying this episode of the Evolution Daily podcast. I would like to personally invite you into the Evolution Daily Secret Mastermind. Now, this is my inner circle. This is our tribe. This is our squad. What you get when you sign up for the Evolution Daily Mastermind today is you get access to our weekly group coaching call. I am present on all of these calls. You get your questions answered. I give a sermon. Other guys on this call are dishing out amazing advice. And what we've created here is a community that so many men need. You right now, you're into game. You want to start a business. You want to get jacked, but you're not surrounded by people that are helping you along that journey. Come get help on that journey. We have the most active and incredible secret Facebook group on the entire internet. There are guys in this group. The guys that have flocked to the mastermind are guys that are out taking action. They're winning at life. They post exclusive content. I post exclusive content daily. There is so much for you here in the secret mastermind. Click down below and you'll be able to find out more details, and you can sign up. We offer a monthly program, and then we offer a one-time lifetime membership to the mastermind.
So for me personally, for those of you who really follow like Alpha Chad stuff, I'm working on a rap album myself. This is just what I do in all my spare time whenever I have any like time. I'm always talking to Aaron about like, hey, do I have like an hour to record? Are you going to be gone? Like things like that. This microphone and pop filter makeshift stuff is all for my album. Actually, I record in a booth that I made in my bedroom. I can show you the booth. It's sick. But yeah, I mean, I have this album that I wanted to work on for years and I wanted to make, and it's just been a struggle. I've never been able to really do it. And the more responsibility I take at Evolution Daily, the more progress my album makes. It's like Aaron might say, let's say I'm feeling really lazy. Let's say I half-ass a week of working at Evolution Daily. I think what I think I'm doing is I'm cultivating energy, and now Aaron is getting fucked over, and I'm like, yeah, I get to like fucking chill. I had like an easier week. I just like I cut corners, and then now like I'm having a week off soon. I'm gonna go work on my album. It's gonna be great. And then the week where I go to work on my music comes, and nothing comes out. I'm still in a lazy mindset. I don't feel like doing anything. I cheated myself. I robbed myself. Remember, you're a part of the larger organism. You can't actually take from something else. When you take from the universe, you're actually taking from yourself, right? The reason you want to take responsibility in life is because when you power the universe through action, you reap the benefit. You actually see different things. Whenever you find that your life is boring, whenever you find that your life is repetitive, whenever you find that things are the same, it's because you haven't been taking action. You got to turn the hamster wheel, which then powers the universe, and then now new things can show up. You're attached to this thing. It's one organism. There's only one organism that exists, and it's you and this other thing, and you're all one thing, but you're in a perspective. You're just in your one human perspective. So you have to understand that. I really like thinking about things like this. A relationship with work, a good relationship with work. Bro, Aaron and I have done weeks where I was absolutely forced to do crazy shit for an entire week. So for example, we dropped a text course not too long ago, right? You guys remember our texting course. It's amazing. You go check it out on our website, evolutiondaily.com. We have a whole texting course, right? We got bits in there about COVID game, how to game girls during a pandemic. Aaron was still fucking during all this. No excuses. So you can go check that out. But while we were making that course, Aaron came to me and he said, I want to make a texting course. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I want to make a texting course in 1 week. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, I want the logo, I want the brand, I want the box, I want the videos, I want everything edited, I want fucking everything. I want you to film it. I want all this shit done. I want breakdowns, text breakdowns, all this crazy shit. We're going to make a text course in 1 week. Now, I was forced to face my worst fear ever, which is just being forced to do things 24/7 that I didn't want to do. What's even the point of life? What's the point of life if you go work at your job every single day for 24/7 and all you do is you work and you go to sleep? Are you even alive? That's what I thought at the time. Now, a week of this went by. We did an entire product. We launched a product in a week. I had done nothing but take responsibility for a week straight, and I definitely wasn't in half-ass mode. And then the next week, I finished one of my rap songs. Because I'm just in the action-taking momentum. I'm in the momentum of taking responsibility. This is why I love responsibility so much. It's a momentum, and anytime you want to complain about your job, anytime you want to complain about your little shit that you got going on, that's fine. Feel free to do that, but you're only hurting yourself. You're only not making your life any different tomorrow, right? So as a man, especially, when I said earlier about one of the masculine traits is manifesting, right? Having money, having material abundance. And these are things that definitely aid you in being able to attract women. If you have no money, you can't buy good clothes. You can't get an iPhone. You can't get into the good clubs. You can't, bring the girl to a nice place and actually, bring her somewhere that she would want to get pulled to and fucked to. So, money is important. You can't have material abundance if you don't give. And this is another thing I want to mention too. So a lot of people, money is not that confusing. Here's the secret to all money. Are you ready? Again, view you and your relationship to the universe as this one organism. You get money when you give a service to something else in exchange for money. That's it. It's just value giving. Most people don't want to admit that they're watching TV, they're sitting around all the time talking to their friends, they're browsing the internet, that most things you do on autopilot aren't giving anything to the world. Now, I'm not saying you're dead weight. Most of us have jobs, and that's good. But that's the only thing that's the only avenue in your life that you contribute to the world. Right? That's your extent. And then you go to work and you complain about your work. And if you're working with a team, let's say you work at Wawa or some McDonald's or something, you might even fuck over your team a lot. You might even be half-assing it. What's the point? You drop a burger on the floor and you put it back on the fucking counter. You don't clean the bathroom fully. You You wait till the last minute to take off. You're like, hey, can you fill in for me, blah, blah, and then you're complaining about your job. These are all ways that you can learn a deeper sense of responsibility. And as you get more responsible, your life gets easier, not harder. My life, so I work harder at Evolution Daily than I've ever worked at any other job, but my life is easier than it's ever been. I'm working these past 4 days, but I've never felt more alive. I think the answer to all this, getting women, getting money, being a man, living your life, is that you want to feel alive. You want to feel like you're living. And the last thing that feels like you're living is when you don't take any responsibility. You're never in the highest spiritual state, which is action. So you're never taking action. The universe is never getting powered. So every day is the same. It's like a Groundhog's Day. You don't feel alive. You don't feel motivated. You don't feel passion. You don't feel anything. And so it's a terrible state to be in. It's awful. It's an awful state. So, yeah, that is my take on responsibility and relationship with work. I think that if for any of you who want to get somewhere great in life, it all starts with where you're at now, right? And a lot of people don't like hearing this, but a lot of people also aren't willing to admit where they're at. And where you're at today is you work at fucking pizza place, whatever. You're working here, and you have your level of responsibility that you take at that job. And Brian Tracy talks about this. It's kind of old and, old news, but it's true. The answer is to just take on more responsibility, right? So responsibility is freedom. Responsibility and freedom are one and the same. And also, I should have mentioned that freedom is another masculine trait. Right, the masculine desires to be free. The masculine desires to be free. But what's funny is it's actually us that are trapping ourselves, right? I mentioned earlier about how society is holding us back as men, but that's actually not true. It's actually not true on another level. On another level, society is not holding you back at all. Society offers you a grocery store where there's foods that, if you eat them, you'll get fat and you'll get unattractive and it'll fuck with your brain. It also offers you a much smaller percentage of foods that will help you, right? That'll make you grow, that'll make you a better man, a stronger man, a man that's actually more capable of doing the things that it needs to do. For any argument you can make about how society does something that hurts men, you can make the argument that before that, the man makes the decision to do that.
Okay, bro. So right now you're at a spot in life where you need direction. You need guidance. You need coaching. I would like to tell you right now that I just reopened my 5-week mentorship program. Oftentimes I will close it for long periods of time because I get so many students on there that it's not really scalable for me to keep it open. But right now, if you're listening to this, then the 5-week Evolution Daily one-on-one mentorship with me is available. We're going to be attacking all areas of your life. We're going to be helping you to get into great shape, how to go out and meet women. I'm going to be holding you accountable, making you do approaches every single week. We're going to have you facing your fears, breaking down traumas, going from a guy that is currently stuck and doesn't know where to go to now being on an incredible direction forward and upward. Again, this is a 5-week mentorship one-on-one with me. You're going to be doing 5 one-hour calls with me, and we're going to be skyrocketing your life to the next level. This is all available over at evolutiondaily.com. You can go ahead and just click the link down below, and you will be able to access the mentorship. Sign up soon because this is going to close again very, very soon. I look forward to working with you on the mentorship.
And so you actually have full responsibility, right? Now, responsibility, man, I love talking about responsibility. It's like the Matrix, the red pill, the blue pill, right? In life, you can either stay in Wonderland and feel better. That's the blue pill, right? And you don't have to take that much responsibility, but your life is enjoyable, but there's still some pressing problems, right? There's going to be these big issues that you're just like feeling like you're in avoidance facing, and you'll never face them, and you'll just feel weak, probably your whole life. Now the red pill is the one Neo takes in the Matrix, where he eats it, and now he wakes up. He wakes up out of the Matrix. There's all these robots and machines everywhere. They're like pulling these wires out of himself. That's what it feels like when you start taking responsibility. You're going to Kroger and you're buying a bag of spinach, You're buying a bag of spinach at Kroger. So in a given grocery store, I forget where I heard this. In a given grocery store, there's roughly 30,000 foods, and about 30 of them are healthy. Like about 30 of them are the superfoods that you would actually want to eat like on a daily basis. So that's what, 1 in 1,000? There's a 1 in 1,000 chance if you were to guess what foods. But most of the time, the foods that are at the grocery store, those are foods that are more addicting, more likely to grab your attention. No one's ever marketing a squash. Like, you know, there's all this marketing on like a cereal box or Gushers or whatever the fuck people eat. But like a squash just has, it's just a squash. You know its innate value. So you have to think about where you want to be in your life. You have to think about who you want to be. You have to have a plan. Look at everything. Analyze it all. Look at your job. Look at your relationship with your family. Look at your relationship with women. Look at your relationship with everything, and then ask yourself, is this okay? Is this what I want this to be? Right? If I take no more action, and the universe doesn't get powered anymore by my action, I just stay like this, I remain like this, am I okay with this? And I can't answer this for you. You answer this for yourself, and then you start to backwards engineer steps, right? If you want to be strong, you might end up going to the gym. You might end up eating healthy. If you want puss, right? If you want to have sex with a lot of hot girls, then there's a lot of action steps you're going to need to take for that, right? You might want to go out every day and say, I'm going to either get 2 phone numbers or do 6 approaches, right? I'm going to go out for an hour a day. I'm going to do my 6 approaches or I'm going to do my 2 phone numbers. Doesn't sound like a lot, but after a month of getting 2 phone numbers a month, that's, 60 numbers that you could hit up. I don't know what the percentage, depending on your level of game, that can convert to a certain number of dates. And then depending on your level of game, that can convert to a certain number of getting laid and bring girls back to your house or wherever. And so, think about where you want to be in your life, backwards engineer the steps, and get there. Take the responsibility to get there. What do your little complaints about work, your little complaints about your life are these tiny, minuscule things that have nothing to do with anything. They're hurting you, right? You need to look for how can I do more. In fact, look at the entire universe as an organism that you're here to help, right? Imagine that you're the hero. You're here to rescue the universe. You're here to kick the universe back into shape, right? You're here to actually make the world a better place. There's been a lot of crazy motherfuckers in history that have ruined the world and made things terrible, and we're all trying to work together to build a better world. Be one of the people that are actually adding to that, right? Now, it doesn't mean feel guilty for sitting back and watching TV and goofing off on the internet and not really contributing much. But when you have your energy, when you finally are at a place of awareness where you're ready to take some action, consider the world. If you're going to do that business, don't just think about making money. Think about how am I going to help the world, right? It's all contribution. If you ever look at billionaire books, different like autobiographies or biographies from like people like Steve Jobs or anybody who like really, really made it in life, these are people that are just contributing like an absurd amount of value to the world, right? Look at Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos literally brought it upon himself to say, let's create something where someone hits a button and now anything they want in the world is just like shipped to their house in less than 24 hours, right? No wonder he's that rich. He's giving that much value to the world. It's that valuable that people all over the world have that level of convenience, right? Now, you might not be able to be Jeff Bezos, and that's okay. It was never about being better than another man or having more money than another man. It's not a competition. It's about who you want to be for yourself. You have to stop comparing, actually. You want to not look at other men. You want to not look at that. If you really truly care about what you deeply care about, what you're passionate about, and you'll find it as you explore yourself more, you'll start to see like how you can contribute and what you're comfortable with contributing. And so, I love responsibility. Responsibility is a great topic. It's like my favorite thing to talk about. I could talk about it endlessly. But so we're actually going to cut this podcast a little bit short. It's not going to be a full hour. I'm probably going to end it right about now. But yeah, guys, I mean, I want to make sure that you guys get the most out of the things that we're putting out. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a pitch. So again, Memorial Day weekend, that's the 28th to the 30th of May in Austin, Texas, we're doing a boot camp. It's going to be the sickest program ever. It's going to be fucking dope. Aaron's so passionate. He's excited. He's been texting me all about Texas, how great it is. He wants to fucking do a program there immediately. We're going to do it in about 2 months, and it's going to be sick. Go on evolutiondaily.com and apply for that. That's going to be sick. And then also Man Camp. Look out for Man Camp. There's more information on the website about Man Camp, but we're going to be bringing you out into the wilderness. We're going to be fucking getting you screaming. We're going to get you ironing out all these kinks. All of this really is to help you become a better man, a more responsible man, a better leader, a better guy, a contributor, right? Having generosity, all these things, all the things I'm talking about. These are the types of things that you will learn and more. Aaron's going to fucking make you a bear. You're going to become a fucking grizzly bear by the end of the Man Camp. You're gonna come back home and then you're just gonna destroy your house and like kill your parents and shit. You're gonna have claws. You're gonna be a grizzly bear. If you wanna be a grizzly bear, they get laid, okay? You're gonna be a grizzly bear. So join Man Camp, join the boot camp, check it all out at evolutiondaily.com. This is Alpha Chad. Peace.